Welcome, everybody. It's February 21st. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report. Hello, all. And I can actually see your comments today, which is always a thrill. That always takes a while to kick in. For some reason, they're kicked in already. Anyway, hey, guys. How are we? I'm going to start TikTok because I'm feeling lucky here. You can go live, go live. There we go. Anyway, hello, all. It is, what is Wednesday already? Busy, busy week. Boom. Anyway, hello all. How are we doing today? Decent amount of news today. Some good news actually. Today's it's a mixed news day. Some good news and some bad news. I'm just looking at some of the stories. Some of the stories are not good news, but there is some very good news. A couple good Ukrainian strikes on Russians. I mean, some good news about how the Russians are not faring as well, which is good. So that's good. But anyway, welcome all. Take a quick second, say hello and where you are from, and then I will get diving in, but maybe another half minute just to give folks a chance to arrive. Hey, Big Hawk. So how are folks doing tonight? Hello, Ireland. Thank you. Who's that? John S. with the heart. Thank you. Oh, and Tiger Pug with the wonderful Galaxy gift. Thank you for that. David and SF. Hey. Anyway, hey guys, what is going on? Lancaster County, Trevor, UK. I've never heard of Trevor, UK. Interesting. Thank you, Alexander. Appreciate that. And Bryce. Anyway, and Big Hawk. Yeah, like I said, a good amount of news today. I actually made a focaccia pizza tonight, which actually ended up being not bad. I was very surprised. So that was my afternoon mixed with preparing for the show and baking a little. So, that and like 2 days of it sitting in the fridge, because that's the way focaccia and good bread works. But it was good. It was surprisingly good. Still working on the sauce, which is always an issue. Thank you, Tom. But I am impressed enough that I will make it again and still going to try a different sauce, but it was quite good. So anyway, hello all. So yes, welcome. I am John Aravosis. This is my nightly show, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S. Thank you, Mustard, where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Capitalist propagandist. Capitalist, yes. Propagandist, If you don't like Russia losing, you're not going to like my show. What do you want me to tell you? Who was that with the eyes? Thank you. Oh, Mustard. Thanks, Mustard, with the glowing eyes. So this is a show. Thank you, Ernie Miller. Ernie, this is the show we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. It makes the Russians very upset, which you will see in the comments. And as far as I'm concerned, badge of honor. Thank you, Elizabeth. So let's dive right in, guys. And please do keep the gifts coming. As I always remind folks, I do this full time. Thank you, Ellie. If you like my show, you like the work I do, please consider supporting it. I will do this work anyway, but this is literally my job. This is the way I make money. So this is the way I pay the bills. So your gifts literally help me pay the bills. Please keep them coming. It's important. Thank you, Pedro. So let's dive right in. So today is day 725 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. Thank you, Marcy. EB says, I've been having a rough day, but appreciate your work and show as always. Sorry, EB. Thank you, by the way, but sorry you've been having a rough day. I never know kind of how, thank you, Marcy. I never quite know how this show works for helping you have a better day, talking about like war and death and destruction. Although we're going to talk a little bit about the Russians having a very bad day. So that may help your day be better. Thank you, Dawn. So, we are 3 days away from the 2-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. The invasion was February 24th. Today is February 21st. So two big not big pieces of news, but stories out of Ukraine of the Russians not doing so well. Thank you, Crazy, which is always good to hear. Quick sip of water. Thank you, Zerpachi. So the first story, thank you, LWD. That very generous and very cool disco ball. Primus. I'm forgetting what Primus is. What is Primus? What is Primus? I don't remember. Unreasonable. Sorry. I'm like stopping in the middle of my news because you caught my attention. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, user, for the gifts. A band? Oh, I don't know that. I don't think I know them. Thank you, Simon. So, let me keep going here. So, 2 pieces of news. You know that over the last weekend, the Russians, thank you, Tom, thank you, user, the Russians finally took the town of Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine. Now, interestingly enough, I decided to do a little search for what the population is of Avdiivka. And of course, it's nothing now because the Russians have literally destroyed the town. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, LWD. But the population going into like 2022, right before the Russians invaded, was 32,000 people. it's a small town. It is not a strategically important town. It is important in a propaganda sense in that, well, two ways it's important. One, you'd rather be winning than losing. Even if you're losing small towns, you don't want to lose small towns. You'd rather have them lose small towns, right? I mean, so in that sense, it's not good for Ukraine, of course. The fact that the Russians are starting to get towns back. They're small, and they don't strategically matter, but hey, it's still losing some towns. What is interesting is, and finally some numbers came out, a Russian military blog, an ultra-nationalist Russian military blogger, in other words, the rah-rah Russians, right, that are super pro-war and might even think the war isn't going good enough, right, that they want the Russians to be, they want Putin to be tougher. Russian military blogger comes out the other day and admits something that people knew, but nonetheless, admits that 16,000 Russian troops at least died taking Avdiivka. This is over the last several months. Some estimates are twice as much. He may have even said possibly twice as many. 16,000 to 32,000 Russian troops. The Russians were not happy. He heard from the Russian military. He heard from a lot of people. The next day, he went public and said he's been urged to take his posts down and he's considering killing himself. Well, the guy is now dead. Whether he killed himself, whether he was killed, this is Russia, after all, where people die very mysteriously who say anything critical about the war, or they go to jail. Another military blogger is facing a 5-year prison sentence for, again, criticizing Putin on how the war was going. And but more importantly, thank you, LWD, 16,000 to 32,000 Russian troops are dead, according to Russia's own sources, because of taking the town of Avdiivka. They killed 16 to 32,000 of their own troops to take a town of 32,000 people. Okay? I mean, it's crazy. And it is a town that is not a pivotal military victory. It's not the kind of place you drop 16,000 men on. It goes to show what we know, which is Russia just doesn't care about how many of their troops they lose. They're happy to throw them in just into a meat grinder. A lot of them are prisoners, that they took and took from prison and thrown in there. It's also interesting because, and again, to remind you, Afghanistan. Russia invades Afghanistan and fights that war. And Alexander just said exactly, fights the war in Afghanistan in the 1980s when the Soviet Union was trying to take over Afghanistan and lost. I mean, in 10 years, the U.S. supplied the opposition. The Russians lost. That war was considered devastating for the Russians. It was considered so devastating that it in part led to the downfall of the Soviet Union. In that war, and the number I think is even less, Alexander, I had Googled it previously, the number of Russian war dead in Afghanistan in 10 years is, I believe, 14,500, a little less than 14,500. That's dead in 10 years. In a few months, Russia lost 16 to 32,000 in Avdiivka. Overall, Russia's probably lost 200,000 to 300,000. When I say lost, I mean dead. 200,000 to 300,000 troops in Ukraine. 200,000 to 300,000 dead, and 14,000 dead in Afghanistan was considered a national crisis. I mean, that shows you the scale of just how bad. I mean, Vietnam, I believe Vietnam, didn't we lose 50,000 men, I think, in Vietnam? Correct me if I'm wrong. And Vietnam, again, considered disastrous loss for the U.S., right? Several 100,000 is insane. It's insane. But in any case, now the second story, again, of Russian troop loss, 58,000, there you go. I was going to say, I knew it was around that, 58,000. Thank you. Thanks, guys. So another big attack happened yesterday against Russia. They lost massively. In occupied Ukraine, and this, by the way, the Russians have done this before. It's not clear why they keep doing this. They gathered a bunch of Russian troops. I will show you the before shot. I can't show you the after shot because it's horrific. I think I may have mentioned this yesterday. I cannot show you the after shot. This is the before shot. You are looking at a Ukrainian drone, looking at a bunch of Russian troops lined up in a field. Okay? And look at how they're all lined up nice and orderly. Okay? For you guys, it's always harder for you guys. Hold on. I've always got to make there we go. I always have to make the light lower for you guys. So you can see, they're all lined up like little ants in a row. Some idiot general is coming to visit. And they insist that all the troops line up in a big group in a row, side by side, in the open sunlight, waiting for the general to arrive. So what do the Ukrainians do? Their drones spot this. The Ukrainians come in, 2 HIMARS strikes, kill 60 of these guys. And I mean, the video is horrific. I mean, I didn't even watch the video. I watched clips of the video. I did watch this video. This video is not as bad because this video is from a distance. There's video close up showing these guys on the ground. It's bad. And it's incredibly idiotic. The Russians have done this. This may be the 3rd time. The general, I believe, wasn't there yet. I'm pretty sure, Stachan. This is, I believe, the 3rd time the Russians have done this. The most famous time the Russians did this, where they lined up people waiting like idiots for somebody and they got blown up, was New Year's Eve 2 years ago. So not this past New Year's, but a year before. And Putin was giving his big, New Year's speech. And being the good little dictatorship they are, they required the troops to all be, don't be celebrating New Year's, be home in the barracks, and all of you line up together and come into one room, 500 of them, mind you, to watch Putin's speech on a big TV screen. So what did the Ukrainians do? They blew the place up, killed hundreds of them. And I mean, that was pretty wild and of course, just to add to the fun, the Russians stored a bunch of ammunition either in the basement of the building where the troops were housed or right outside the building. So it caught on fire and blew up too. Hundreds of Russian troops killed. I mean, horrific. I say horrific, horrific for the Russians, but kind of amazing. So yeah, again, as I always say, none of this is going to change the war, this is not clean sailing for the Russians. As the war continues, it's bad news for the Russians. The question is whether Russia will ever care, because they don't care if their men die, unlike the rest of us. New York Times just had a story that came out before the show, so I thought I'd mention it. An update on nukes in space. Not to make a Muppets joke. Anybody who gets that wins a prize. But the New York Times reports that American intelligence agencies are warning the Europeans that we believe the Russians could put nuclear weapons in space as early as this year. Now, you might recall, thank you, Big John, you might recall that the story came out last week, caused a lot of international concern of what was going on, that U.S. intelligence believes the Russians are preparing to put nukes in space, and that the idea, thank you, Becky, the idea is they want to use them to blow up satellites. And it's had people kind of confused, thank you, LWD, cool plane, cool jet, because, and I mean, I've been thinking about this, but because I was actually watching, Neil deGrasse Tyson, a famous American physicist, was on TV today. Thank you, Eva, on CNN. And I was listening to him, but I don't think he's quite got it right because of this reason. He was saying how it just doesn't make sense, like what the deal is. Nuclear weapons, not nuclear power, Jacob, nuclear weapons. Yeah, that the Russians are planning on putting nuclear weapons in space to use as anti-satellite weapons. Thank you, Sherry. Now, what the famous physicist was saying was, this doesn't make sense because we already can take out satellites. The Russians can, the Chinese can, basically using kinetic systems, which we've talked about before. I don't know the way it actually works, but I know how it works. I mean, basically, you take a chunk of steel or maybe depleted uranium, who knows. Thank you, Wood Warlock, and you shoot it at a satellite really fast. Well, that chunk of metal really fast coming at a satellite and hitting it has a lot of kinetic energy, a lot of the mass times the velocity, right? Is the energy, the momentum of this thing destroys the satellite. So he was saying, we can already do that. The Russians can already do that. Why do they want nukes? The thing is, thank you, Annie, the nukes I see as being different. How many kinetic, or like a railgun, exactly, Mario. How many railguns do you need? Thank you, Annie. I always like that one. How many railguns do you need to take out thousands of satellites? Thank you again, Annie. You're on a roll today. Appreciate it. Elon Musk has possibly 4,000 satellites in orbit right now with his Starlink internet. His plan, thank you, OMG, his plan is to have 12,000. His immediate plan is to have 12,000 satellites. And the someday plan is to have 40,000, like someday in the future plan. If you're Russia and you want to take out Starlink because America's using it just like Ukraine's using it right now, you need to, I'm going to guess it's a lot of work to take out individual satellites, right? Boom, boom, boom. If you want to take out a lot of satellites at once, I'm going to guess a nuclear weapon is probably more efficient. Now, the problem is, and DeGrasse Tyson mentioned it, but we've talked about it before too. The problem is space is not concise. It's not like your territory and my territory. Once you get into outer space, we don't own outer space, right? So if the Russians blow up a nuke and take out a bunch of satellites, they're also going to take out Russian satellites. They're also going to take out Indian, Chinese. They're going to take out a lot of satellites of other countries, including their friends. And it's going to add so much debris and everything else. And then I was watching a show the other day on this, Thank You Adventures, about the amount of space debris that's already there. In any case, U.S. intelligence has assessed that the Russians are going to put something in space this year. It could very well likely be a nuke. The other possibility is the Russians may put may bluff. They may do a mission to space to put something in orbit. You got it, Chris. Exactly. I just saw your comment. You got it. The Russians may put something in orbit to make us think that they're putting a nuke in orbit, but it's not, just to fake us out. Incredibly stupid, incredibly dangerous. And it's also very trolly, which is typical of the Russians. The idea that, let's just make everybody think we're putting nuclear weapons in space. What benefit does that do? I mean, not all you're going to do. I guess it does. There's a terror benefit. The Russians really like the terror aspect of this, right? That they scare you. And, Elon Musk, I will guarantee you, Elon Musk will be, he's already, sucks at the teat of Vladimir Putin for whatever, he like Donald Trump, right? For whatever reason. In Elon's case, I think it's because the story is true. I think that Putin did threaten Elon's satellites. That's what Ian Bremmer said, a while back. I think it's probably true. It certainly would make sense in terms of Elon's asking. Imagine how much of a pain in the ass Elon Musk will be, the sometimes richest man of the world. If Putin then, if we believe that Putin has put nukes in space with the intent of using them against Elon's satellites, that's the only place they're going for, right? That's the only place they're going for. Imagine how much worse Elon Musk will be. And not just for this, but imagine how bad Elon Musk is going to be for the next war we get into. I mean, this is Putin using it as a terror weapon. It's incredibly dangerous. And the final reason it's incredibly dangerous is because you also have the possibility of the West saying, well, if we think Russia now has nukes in space, we've got to put nukes in space, right? I mean, thank you, Cheryl, and thanks, Callum, for putting it up there. People were saying tap the hearts or whatever it is on the screen on TikTok. You never know; it could help to get the podcast out there more, the broadcast. So I appreciate that. Anyway, very scary news. Typical Russia. But I do think it's meant to freak us out. It's meant to, frankly. You've got I hate to compare the two, but you've got MAGA, Donald Trump's Putin wing of the party, that doesn't want to do anything to antagonize Vladimir Putin. Oh my God, World War III. And you've got Joe Biden, who's willing to do some things to antagonize Vladimir Putin, but also too often worries about World War III. And I say worries about it, meaning, way too many comments from Biden about World War III at the beginning of this war. Far too many, showing that he's basically afraid of angering Vladimir Putin. This is another great way for Putin to freak out Biden, but especially the MAGA Republicans, into, look what Putin's doing now. He's crazy. What might he do? Might he use his nukes in space? Oh my God, let's not make him angry. Let's not give Ukraine the weapon systems it needs to take back Crimea. Right? So this is also Putin playing a very sophisticated game of, okay, the U.S. is now, because of MAGA Republicans, the U.S. is no longer funding Ukraine at all, no longer giving them weapons or anything, right? Thank you, LWD. And, at the same time, let's ratchet it up a little bit by talking about nukes being in space. Thank you, ADAT. Any case, let's go to the next story. And no, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Somebody just asked on TikTok. I'm somebody who's not a big fan of treason, and I'm not a big fan of Republicans in Congress having cut off all money to Ukraine and all aid to Ukraine and all U.S. military support because their leader has a weird fetish for Vladimir Putin, one of America's top enemy right now, and not a very strong love of America. So yeah, at one point, and I've said this before, I'm not going to have a case of heartburn over this tonight, but at one point, Republicans were great on Ukraine and we were unified. And this show was about Republicans and Democrats coming together. Now, Republicans have cut off 100% of money to Ukraine to help one of America's enemies. It is treasonous. It is un-American. It is anti-American. It is anathema to the Reagan agenda and to the Reagan legacy that the Republican Party used to believe in. I was a Republican. The Republican Party believed in freedom, believed in democracy, believed in defending America, believed in standing up to dictators, defending our allies abroad. Now, it's a cult. It's a cult of a man who's compromised by Putin, period. So that's why. So yes, the more you complain, the more we are going to talk about the Republican Party under Donald Trump becoming an adjunct of the Russian government, because you've cut off 100% of money going to this war, and you've handed a country in Europe to America's enemy, the Russians, and we are risking a world war as a result of this, because you people have decided that you're so immature and so childish that you're going to decide who you support in a war based on what the other political party thinks. And because Democrats support the war, you've decided you don't support the war, because that's how infantile and sophomoric and Neanderthal you people are. So yes, we are going to be talking about Republicans on this show. Unfortunately, we never did before, but when Republicans decided to cut off all aid to Ukraine, we were forced to talk about it because you chose the side of America's enemy. You chose the un-American, the anti-American action. You chose to be cowards, and you chose to be as bad as the left was 50 and 60 years ago. It was the lefty peaceniks back then, and now it's Republicans. It's MAGA Republicans. You're cowards, you're un-American, and I'm going to call you out on it, because you don't believe in freedom. You don't believe in this country. I mean, and again, we'll talk again about Donald Trump. You don't have to, well, Denmark, you might have to be drafted. In America, you don't have to be drafted. Because in America, all we have to do is stand up to the Russians and we're fine. So, any case, don't get me started on doing another Burisma update too. I see people going after Biden again. Oh yeah, the latest news on Biden and Burisma, by the way. I mentioned this yesterday, but it's really been big in the news today. So the Republicans are trying to impeach Biden. Thank you, Cliff. Because one of the trolls brought this up, I'm going to mention it. He brought up Biden and Burisma. So the whole Republicans have been wanting to impeach Biden, like to remove him from office. And they were using this, what we now know as a fake conspiracy, because the guy who is their chief witness just got indicted by the FBI for lying to Congress and lying to them about the entire story. He basically made up a story that Biden was bought off with $5 million to defend Burisma, this Ukrainian company that his son worked on the board of. Thank you, NJ Patman. And we now know it was a lie. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, LWD. That quite literally, the man is under indictment. He's under indictment. He was the top Republican witness. Today we find out, that's the end of Republican impeachment. They're going to still impeach him because it's now a cult. The Republican Party doesn't believe in the truth anymore. They just believe in lies, like the election lies, right? But the other story that dropped in the last day was, not only is this man indicted by the FBI for lying and he's the chief Republican witness, we now find out he admits he got some of his lies about Hunter Biden from the Russian intelligence. Russian intelligence was the one that gave him his evidence against Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. Russian intelligence. And one of the things was fabulous. I'm misinformed? Yeah, you're a Russian troll. You're a Russian troll because the FBI just indicted your guy. That is a Russian, and that is a Russian using a Russian talking point. I always like to kind of point out when the Russians visit us, because what they do, and by the way, again, important for folks to know, they get talking points and they read them at the wrong time, like you're misinformed. Misinformed about what? That the FBI just indicted your chief witness? They did. That your chief witness just admitted, thank you, Sandy, just admitted that he got the evidence from Russian intelligence? He did. I mean, he literally did, guys. It's out there in the public way. Go check it out for yourself. But again, unfortunately, this is the way the Russians work, and it's the way the MAGA Republicans work. You just stir the SHIT. You just stir as much doubt as you can, stir as much confusion as you can. Thank you, Kevin. If you lie about everything and you confuse, again, CNN, terrible news source. Washington Post, terrible news source. New York Times, terrible news source. BBC, terrible news source. Make sure that every independent journalist from the best papers and the best news channels are called terrible and biased, because then nobody will know what to believe. And you will hear it all the time now. And certainly in my country, I don't know in your guys abroad, but in the U.S., you will hear good Republicans, good people in the good ones, and good people in the middle say they don't know who to believe anymore. They go, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to read, because I hear the New York Times is bad. I hear CNN is bad, but I know Fox News is in the pocket of the Republicans. And that if that happens, the fascists win, because that's how they win. You create an environment where the people who actually have a history of telling you the truth, thank you, LWD, who have the resources to find out the truth, which are the media, who have the resources to disseminate the truth, the media, you sow doubt on them. And then nobody knows what to believe at that point. Thank you, Abel. So then you just lie about everything. And if you lie about everything, you turn to your own. So now, anyway, thank you, Tiger. All right, a little bit more here now. Iran has provided Russia with a large number of powerful surface-to-surface ballistic missiles, 6 sources told Reuters, deepening the military cooperation between the 2 U.S.-sanctioned companies. This is from Reuters. Iran's provision, thank you, Marion. Iran's provision of around 400 missiles includes many from the Fateh 110 family of short-range ballistic missiles. The shipments began in early January, thank you, LWD, after a deal was finalized in meetings late last year between Iranian and Russian military and security officials. We got a little bit more news on the U.S. official that was charged with, or yes, not U.S. official, the American charged with treason in Moscow. She's a dual national, Russian-American. The Russians tend not to recognize dual nationals. They only, so in other words, if you're Russian and American, they think you're Russian. You're not American at all. And they arrested this woman. She's 33-year-old Ksenia Khavana, or however you pronounce her last name, a resident of Los Angeles. And this is wild, actually. Listen to this. She goes to Russia to visit her 90-year-old grandmother, parents, and younger sister, which is, again, incredibly idiotic at this point. If you're American, you don't go to Russia. And if you're a dual national American and Russian, the only reason you go to Russia is if you're a spy. Either an American spy or a Russian spy. You're a Russian spy checking in with your handlers, or you're an American spy. Otherwise, you're a blithering idiot if you go to Russia and you're a dual national, because they will arrest you. Well, they did. She is accused. Now, here's the best part. The Russians have accused her of treason because when she was living in Los Angeles, she gave a $51 donation. $51, guys, that's equivalent to 50 euros, okay? $51 donation to the U.S.-based Ukrainian charity Razom for Ukraine. Now, Razom is very good. Razom, I'd have to double check. I'm 99% Razom for Ukraine is the charity in New York and New Jersey that we had raised all the money for the medical kits. I don't know if you guys remember, about a year and a half ago, we raised about $10,000 to buy medical kits for Ukrainians, for the troops, for NGOs, for basically everybody who needed them in the war. Thank you, LWD. And we bought about $10,000 worth. Well, I was able to buy them on Amazon and ship them to Razom directly. So Amazon paid the shipping and Razom paid the shipping to Ukraine. That's who they are. They're a wonderful charity. They don't, they're not sending weapons because they can't send weapons from the U.S., but they send money, food, health, like this kind of medicinal equipment, etc. Well, because she sent $51 to this Ukrainian charity, they're accusing her of treason. Again, having said that, you're an idiot that you went to Russia. It really makes me wonder what's actually going on with her. Why would you go back to Russia? You're an idiot if you went there. And I mean, if the story is what it is on its face, she's a total idiot. I mean, I hate to criticize her, but you don't go visit grandma. No. When you're a dual Russian national with the U.S. and you know they're going to kidnap you, you don't go and visit grandma. You really don't. Yeah, exactly. It's like going to North Korea. Actually, after criticizing North Korea, right? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, what else have I got here? Oh God, this is, almost funny, but typical Russian here. That's right. You send grandma to visit her in the States. Exactly. At least 6. So you know how the Russians have been arresting people who were holding memorials for Alexei Navalny, who's the Russian opposition leader that Putin just killed on Friday. He assassinated. And they've been arresting people for laying down flowers and things in public because, of course, Russia's a dictatorship. Well, at least 6 of the Russians who were arrested at the makeshift memorials around the country have now been served with military draft notices. They've been drafted to go to Ukraine as punishment for simply going and laying flowers down. I mean, again, this is who Donald Trump respects. This is who Tucker Carlson wants us to emulate. Russia is a dictatorship. One final point on that. This was actually brilliant. I've got to show you this. I was going to do a video on TikTok about this later, but I literally saw this right before the show. This is from Yaroslav Trofimov, who's a wonderful, thank you, I'm Ruben, who's a wonderful Wall Street Journal reporter. And he just tweeted this. I'm going to show you. This is the picture of Tucker Carlson going to that grocery store in Moscow. You might remember American far-right propagandist Tucker Carlson, who is a big Putin fan, a big fan of Orban in Hungary. He's a fan of dictatorships, not a fan of America. Claims to be, but he's clearly not. And he's the one who went to the Russian supermarket and said, oh my God, I just spent $100 buying enough groceries for a week. By $100 is 100 euros, guys, in Moscow. Imagine how much that is to a Russian, right? But he's an idiot, and he's not just an idiot, he's a liar too. He's mendacious. Tucker says things knowing full well that he's a propagandist. He's tricking you and fooling you. Thank you, B. Smith. So Tucker goes and says, look at the beautiful food I've bought. Look at how great this grocery store is. They don't tell you they have grocery stores like this in Russia. In America, they tell you it's the evil empire, right? Look at this is better than America. Look at how much I spent. Only $100 on a week's worth of groceries. It's so much cheaper than America. This has radicalized me. This has turned me against America, right? So very interesting. So first of all, we find out, and I talked about this last week, that Tucker was lying to you in that Tucker wasn't explaining that the reason groceries are, mind you, $100 for a week's worth of groceries in this country, that's about what I spend, honestly. A week's worth of groceries for me would probably be $100, maybe $150 if I'm pushing it, because I make my own food. I don't buy, right? I wouldn't buy, if I'm being careful, I wouldn't buy all the frozen food and stuff, right? So it's a little cheaper, but not that much. The Russian average salary is 20% of the American average salary, okay? We make 5 times as much in this country as the Russians do. Their monthly paycheck is about $1,000. Our monthly paycheck on average is going to be like $5,000. That's why it's so much cheaper, so to speak, in Russia. It's not so much cheaper at all. It's horrifically expensive in Russia. They spend like 60% of their income on food. I think we spend, is it 11%? Something like that. But the best part, here's the best part. The Wall Street Journal reporter went and investigated something that other people weren't paying attention to. This is the store Tucker Carlson went to. Anybody who speaks Russian, take a look at the name of the store. Yashan. Or Ashan, depending. I can't tell if that's a ya or a ah. Ashan or Yashan is a French supermarket chain. This is the French supermarket in Moscow. It's French. They make French bread there. It's a French supermarket. Yeah, Auchan in French, right? That's the place he went to. That's the place he's bragging and going, look at it. It looks just like a Western supermarket. It looks like a Western supermarket because it's a French supermarket in Moscow. Do you understand why I call this guy a liar and a propagandist, guys? His show has always been like this. And again, I use the word mendacity and mendacious because I don't know what other word to use. He lies and he admits he's a liar. Thank you, Joe. But he also, and thank you, Incredibly Tired, for the lightning bolt. He lies, but he also plays games with the truth by giving you part of the truth, right? So in this case, look at this Russian supermarket. Look at how fabulous it is. He just doesn't tell you it's a French supermarket in Russia. That's why it's so fabulous, right? He tells you, look how cheap it is, but he doesn't tell you it's not cheap at all. The Russians make 20% of what we make. So we make 5 times as much money. Of course, the supermarkets have to be cheaper in Russia. They can't afford it if it's expensive as ours. But he lies to you by leaving out little bits of the truth. But anyway, that one blew my mind. It's a freaking French supermarket. I mean, it's but half the truth is still a lie. It's just amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And by the way, the Russian trolls are freaking out on TikTok, so you know it's good. You can always tell when the Russian trolls go, that doesn't matter. I mean, actually, it says something about Russia too. Your best supermarket is French. I rest my case. I rest my case. Anyway, absolutely amazing. Trump. Oh, so our favorite guy, Donald Trump, compared himself to Alexei Navalny again last night. Remember how Trump, I was saying initially, was trying to compare himself to Navalny because they're both oppressed? You know, Navalny because he was assassinated. Trump because he was indicted 4 times for 91 different crimes he committed over the presidency and before, including defrauding banks. I mean, that one he didn't have to pay. That one he's paying a penalty, but not a crime. Defrauding banks, sexually assaulting a woman and then defaming her, stealing classified information, refusing to return it, and then giving it away to some Australian businessman, one of our top classified secrets about nuclear submarines, trying to violently overthrow our government, and trying to coerce the government of the state of Georgia to steal the election by changing the vote. Just like Novichok, it's like Novichok but different. What Trump did, right? So Trump last night compared America to a communist fascist country for persecuting him, just like Navalny. Listen to this. He goes and he does a Fox News panel, of course, last night, and he says he finally said something good about Navalny. Now Trump has still not criticized Putin for killing Navalny. He's still not criticized him. He defended Navalny. He said it was probably dumb of Navalny to go back, which I wouldn't say dumb, but going back, he was going to get killed, right? But Trump has still not criticized Putin for it. Even the MAGA Republicans have criticized Putin. Trump has not, because there's something sick with Trump, and there's something corrupt with Trump and Putin. So listen to this. Trump says Navalny, he could have stayed away and frankly probably would have been better off staying away and talking from outside the country as opposed to going back in because people thought that could happen and it did happen. It's Trump, so there's no commas, of course. And it's a horrible thing, but it's happening in our country too. Okay? It's happening in the murder of political opponents by the leader of the country is happening in our country too. This is how freaking dangerous this man is, okay? And what a freaking liar he is. It's happening in our country too. We are turning into a communist country in many ways. And again, communist because it's just what Republicans come up with. It goes on. If you look at it, I'm the leading candidate. I got indicted 4 times. He also got 91 criminal charges against him. I have 8 or 9 trials, all because of the fact that I'm in politics. Ingram asked how he's going to pay the $354 million judgment against him just for the recent fraud case in New York where he defrauded the banks and the insurance companies. He responds, so Trump defrauds a bunch of banks and insurance companies by lying to them about the value of his property to get better rates on his loans, which is basically stealing, and then tells the government his buildings are worth so much less because he doesn't want the government to charge him taxes, right? So they find him guilty or liable, whatever word you want to use. He gets fined $354 million, and then he gets fined also penalties, or I should say interest on top of that, which is like $100 million. There's a lot of interest. Gets asked how he's going to pay, and he responds, it is a form of Navalny. He's now using Navalny as like a verb or something, or an adjective. Thank you, Sean, to describe what's happening. It's a form of Navalny, what they're doing to Trump. It is, listen, here's my favorite part. It is a form of communism or fascism. It's a form of communism or fascism. That's like saying you're a Democrat or Republican. You're black or white. I mean, communism and fascism are like opposite ends of the political spectrum. The communists and the fascists, well, typically, they don't really exist. Well, the fascists exist in America. The communists don't exist really. They hate each other. They've always hated each other. World War II, Soviet communism, fascist. Although they were allies at the beginning, the fascist Nazis and the fascist Italians especially. So they can have alliances, but generally speaking, you don't describe a country as being it's fascism or communism. Everything's but again, putting that aside, what an idiot he is. He responded to the murder of Navalny, the political assassination of Navalny by Putin, and said, It's happening in our country too. That what they did to Navalny is the same thing they're doing to us in my country. And yesterday, the day before, he talked about the prosecutors, the judges, the courts. Everyone's gotten, there is a conspiracy in America of all the prosecutors, of all the special counsels, of the courts at the federal level, the state level. The state government of Georgia, Republican run, is accusing him of this, right? All of these guys, all the 61 judges that turned down his election fraud case when he lied and said that the election was stolen, 61 judges out of 61 said Trump was wrong. He was full of crap, okay? All of that is a big fascist or communist conspiracy. Okay, because what we're doing to Trump is exactly what was done to Navalny. It's an assassination attempt. Do you understand why I say that Trump flirts with violence? Trump flirts with the language of violence. Trump puts language out there that is intended, clearly intended, because he's not an idiot at this point, that is intended to convince people to take up the sword, basically, right? Because you literally say that what is happening in our country at the top levels, the president on down, the entire court system, is trying to murder Donald Trump because he's the opposite. I mean, it's literally the language of violence. And we know Trump's followers already went violence once in response to what he did. They violently tried to overthrow our election on October 7th, I was going to say, on January 6th. He knows what he's doing. No, it's so freaking dangerous what this guy does. So freaking dangerous. A little bit more here. Russia is a dictatorship watch. Copies of a weekly newspaper featuring a picture of Navalny have been thrown out by the Russians. They picked him up all over. There was Navalny, and it had a quote. Where was the quote? The quote was something about hope. Where's the quote? Oh, the quote said, thank you, Chazak. The quote said, "But there is hope." One of Navalny's famous quotes with a picture of Navalny kind of waving, and the Russian police, Putin had them removed from all over Moscow because stochastic violence, that's the word, Charlie, I was trying to find. Yep. Stochastic terrorism is what Trump is promoting. But yeah, they removed the magazines from all over Moscow, the government did, because it had a picture of Navalny, and just the picture of the man that Putin killed is too dangerous for Putin. The country is a dictatorship. And unlike Donald Trump, who claims these kind of things, America is not like Russia. Russia is a dictatorship. We are free. We got some corruption, which frankly Donald Trump brought to our country and helped highlight, but we are still a free country. Europeans are a free company. We don't kill our country. We don't kill our political opponents. The Russians do. And they do it a lot, and they do it often. So... But again, the worst part is when you've got our political leaders who buy into this BS because they're so corrupt like Donald Trump. So freaking corrupt. Anyway, just makes me sick. He so pisses me off with this corrupt. Any case, all right, guys, let's talk. 6:45. We got lots of time to do our Q&A comments. I always feel like I'm sort of exhausted when we finish this. I'm like, it's like, Thank you, PJ. Now, PJ, if you had a question, feel free to throw one in. I don't know if you meant to, or if that was just a gift. It was a gift. Thank you. But if you have a question, feel free just to throw one in too. Can you have $1 billion if you get invaded, maybe? Or if you're Donald Trump? Actually, you know what? Marry Trump's daughter and you can get $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. How's that, Riker? Just a suggestion. Oh, really, Russian? People did not kill the guy? Really? Since the troll is raising this point, it's already a proven fact that Putin tried to kill Alexei Navalny 4 years ago with Novichok, which is a Soviet nerve agent. Putin was stupid enough to let Navalny go to Germany for emergency medical treatment after he tried to kill him. And the Germans determined, because the Germans are good at these things, they actually found the Novichok and figured out that it was Novichok that the Russians used, which isn't just a Soviet nerve agent. Who the hell else has this stuff? Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Courtney. Who the hell else has this stuff in eastern Siberia, which is where it happened, right? But also, it's what Putin uses to kill his political opponents. He uses polonium and he uses Novichok. It's what he uses. So, yeah, We know exactly who killed Alexei Navalny, the guy who tried to kill him 4 years ago, which is Vladimir Putin. I also think it's rather funny that any of the Russians would claim, Vladimir wouldn't do that. Guys, he blew up he blew up Prigozhin. He blew up Yevgeny Prigozhin, blew up an airplane full of people to take out a guy that did try to overthrow his government, fair enough. But I mean, and didn't care that he killed the flight attendants, he killed the flight crew, killed them all. Because this is Russia, imagine the president of any other country, of a civilized country, mind you, not any other country, of a civilized country blowing up an airplane because one of his political opponents was on board, and you blew up the flight crew, you blew up everybody else. And literally, it's like, Thank you, Athen. I guess I'll say Athens, or is it Athen? Thank you, Timothy, for the gifts. Bart and Deborah as well. Navalny's wife says she's going back. Yeah, Navalny's wife says she's taking over the movement, and she's going back. So... what was Navalny's cause of death? Well, the Russians first claimed it's a mystery. And they used, what was the word they used? They used they blamed it on like sudden death syndrome, I think it's called, which basically is a catch-all for we don't know what the heck happened, right? It just happened. They now are hiding his body for 14 days. The Russians are hiding his body. They're not letting his family even get it. And the thinking is they're doing it because they use some kind of a nerve agent or a chemical to kill him that dissolves in the body over a period of time. And that's why the Russian government, Putin, has now decided that his family can't even have the body for 14 days. I mean, again, now having said that, Putin's a dictator. He's a murderer. He's brutal. He could just be doing it because he can. He's a jerk. So he just felt like, I'm going to punish the family and not even give him the body. But he also could easily be doing it because he's trying to hide the chemical weapons that he used. So, we know exactly who killed him. Yes. Bye, LaChance. Nice seeing you. Thank you, Maud. You caught that the same time I did. Navalny was much better than other Russians. He's not perfect, Oya. But I think Ukrainians have got to deal with the fact that the Russians are not going to be angels. If we want Russia to be better, it's going to get marginally better. You're not going to get somebody that's going to be great. Navalny was way better than Vladimir Putin. He would have been better. I mean, he was willing to challenge Putin. And, if that's the best we can get for now, that's the best we can get. World War II, we worked with Stalin. Mind you, Stalin, who was an ally of Hitler, okay? And then got stabbed in the back by Hitler and then suddenly went to war with the Nazis. We were allies with Stalin and the Soviets, the evil empire, horrifically evil government, horrifically evil people. Stalin killed tens of millions of his citizens, millions of Ukrainians for that matter, right? Or the Soviets did at least. I'm trying to remember when Stalin came to power. Stalin was in power during the Holodomor, wasn't he? That was Stalin, wasn't it, guys? I'm sure it was. Early 30s. But we worked with them. You got to work with who you got. And Navalny was a hell of a lot better. Not 1924, 1930s. It was early 30s. Oh, you're saying he came to power in 24. Is that what you're saying, Mark? Okay. I guess Stalin was. Was Stalin the next one after Lenin? I think he was, wasn't he? There wasn't really anybody else, I don't think. Because Lenin died pretty early. Maybe it was 24. I remember him dying shortly after the revolution. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yes, correct. And exactly, the Holodomor I remember being in the early 30s, exactly. Okay, Stalin. Okay, thanks, guys. Just checking. In any case, yep, Lenin's a Stalin. Okay. In any case, what else we got, guys? What else? Please keep the gifts coming. Like I said, I hate to keep harping, but I got to pay the bills, so thank you. What else we got? Other opinions on what's going on? Yeltsin was a drunk. That's true. Yes. Sadly, he was a bit of a mess. Oh, thank you, Jetta. Thank you. I'm going to say Athen. Since there's a Y there, I'm going to say Athen. My thoughts on the border are Democrats have not done enough, and Republicans are now literally stopping anything from happening to close the border because Donald Trump said he wants illegals coming across for the next 10 months to help his election chances. Now, interesting news on that front, by the way. Who was that? Jetta, Ethan. Oh, incredibly tired. Thank you. You and Brian and Hedge. Oh God. That is hilarious, Hedge. I've never seen that. That's almost scary. That was like a Furby. Are they called Furbies? Like the people, the adults who dress up in bear outfits and stuff. That's very funny. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Andy. That was very funny. Thank you for that. That was really cute. What was that? Your bear. I'm glad your bear threw me, but your bear threw me. Oh, the border. Yeah. So, Biden, they were just reporting on the news right now. Furries. That's it. Not Furbies. Furries. Thank you. It shows you how disconnected I am from this stuff. Furries. Furbies are something else. Are Furbies toys? A Furby's something else. I'm forgetting what it is now. But with the border stuff, the latest news tonight was Biden might try to do something with regards to the border on his own and affecting political asylum, basically clamping down on something. They're talking toys. Okay. So we'll see. But let's see what happens next. But yeah, Democrats, I think, have been terrible. Democrats have been terrible about the border. Politically, they feel like they've got to let people in, which is bad. And Republicans were playing a game. They pretended they wanted to close the border. And Donald Trump said, no. If we fix the border with this Republican plan that Democrats agreed to 2 weeks ago, a conservative Republican plan, and if we fix the border thing, who is that other? Oh, Olya. Thank you, Olya, for the crown. Thank you, Courtney. If we fix the border, then Trump won't have an issue to run on. And Trump wants to run on the border, having millions of people coming every year. I heard the latest number is down to 400 people a day. That's the lower number now. 400 people a day. That's what, 120,000 a month? If I'm correct, it's 400 a day, right? I think 120,000 a month, right? 3 is 12,000? Wait a minute. 400 a day? That's less. That's 12,000 a month, right? Is that only 12? That's only 12,000 a month, right? They're saying 400 a day. 400, yeah, times 30. That's 12,000. Yeah. But they're saying around 400 a day is the lower number of what's coming through. But yeah, Trump ordered Republicans to oppose, and they did, their own border deal that they wrote and they agreed to. Because Trump needs people coming across the border illegally for the election, or he can't run against Joe Biden ruining the border. You can't make this stuff up. And it's all public. Republicans were furious. Thank you, Kronos. The Republicans who negotiated the plan were furious about it. It's all public. Don't even believe anybody who says it's not true. Don't even literally just block the person. It's all public. You can Google all of it. Republicans were furious. The Republicans in the U.S. Senate, furious at Donald Trump. And they said, literally, we're going to let people come across the border for politics to help Trump get elected and let millions of people come to the country illegally and not solve the problem because Donald Trump thinks it'll hurt his chances electorally. But this is who Donald Trump is. This is what the Republican Party is. They're now the party of illegal immigration in addition to being the party of anti-Americanism and pro-Russia. That's what they do. He's right politically. It probably, if voters don't realize that Republicans are now responsible for the millions of illegal people crossing our border every year, if they don't realize that fact, then it could help Trump in the fall. Thank you, Ethan. It could help Trump because they go, oh my God, so many people coming illegally. Why isn't Biden fixing it? No, I hope Biden does something drastic. I hope he does. He should. The Mexicans don't want to do anything about it. Yeah, the Mexicans don't have to let people cross the border. The Mexicans don't quite care, it seems. So, no, across the board, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And frankly, the Republicans actually made a good argument. Why are we letting people in for asylum? And this isn't Ukraine, but whatever. Why are we letting people in for asylum in the U.S. who are literally transiting like 10 other countries before they come here? They're no longer seeking asylum, right? If you're leaving Venezuela allegedly because you're a political prisoner or whatever, once you get to Colombia, you're no longer a political prisoner. You're free. You don't need to come to America at that point. You can, but you don't need to come to America as you're not a political asylum anymore. You're simply somebody who'd like to come to America to live and then get in line. I mean, that's my problem. I don't want to cut off immigration. I think it is incredibly unfair to everybody who comes here legally to just let people come across illegally from Mexico and go, you know what? They're poor. Well, you know what? A lot of people in Asia and Africa are poor too, and they'd like to come here, but they can't because they can't just swim across the ocean. They do it the legal way, and they get turned down all the time. No, I think it pisses me off. It is incredibly unfair, but on the Democratic side of politics, you can't say these things because it's considered so, oh, we don't want to criticize immigration. No, it's totally unfair. It pisses me off. So that's the kind of thing Republicans want to clamp down, and I'm with them. And frankly, people who cross the border illegally should be kicked out. No asylum. No, and this is one of the Republican plans, was no asylum at all if you cross illegally. If you cross illegally, you're gone. If you apply, then we consider asylum. But if you cross illegally, you're gone. And you know what that would do to people crossing illegally? The numbers would plummet because people would know that there's no point. Now they know if they cross illegally, they get 2 years. They get 2 years until the court case, and they get to just stay free in America and everywhere else. It's bullshit. It's absolute BS, No, but again, I'm pro-immigration. I think it is BS that we have millions of people crossing our border illegally. And I don't know. And again, Republicans, guys, let's face it. Republicans didn't want to fix the problem. Donald Trump's big proposal was banning Muslims like that. That was terrorism. That's right. He was going to stop terrorism by banning Muslims. It's like, okay, thank you, Mr. Racist, right? And his other big proposal was he was going to build a wall with Mexico. Do you know how much of the wall Donald Trump built? 50 miles. Google it. Trump talks about thousands of miles on this kind of garbage. Thank you, Jay. There are several hundred miles of the wall that Trump fixed. A lot of it's fences and things like this. So there were parts of the fence that were falling down and Trump fixed them. That's not building a new wall, though. About 50 miles that Trump built. That was it. 50 miles of wall. I mean, the guy is a con man, and the whole party followed him. So, both parties, as far as I'm concerned, owe a lot of this. Oh, check it out. 500 miles was mostly fixing the stuff that was already there. It wasn't new segments of wall at all. He didn't build new wall at all. It was just fixing the old stuff. Google it and you'll see. The analysis will show you it's like 53 miles, 49 miles, something like that of new stuff that Trump actually built. And honestly, even the wall stuff, if the guy weren't such a racist and a crackpot, people probably wouldn't have been like so wrong about saying, we should have a border where people can't cross, right? I mean, thank you, Deborah. Like on its face, that's not such a crazy idea. Right? Having our border be something that you can't get across just by swimming, I mean, but everything was crazy land with this guy and everything was a lie, right? Actually, you know what? The big thing, thank you, Vicky. The best point to make about Trump and the border, Trump ran on the border last time. It's like he's making the border his big issue this time. That's because the border was his big issue last time. His number one issue was the border, guys. He was in office for 4 years. Why didn't he fix the border crisis in 4 years? Why didn't he fix it? 4 years. But this time he'll really fix it. He didn't last time. They had billions, Matt. He got billions for the wall last time. Billions. Not a thing. And there's no border wall on the Canada side. Nope. No, it's just, he annoys me. Anyway, obviously he annoys me. What do you do? What else we got, guys? What else we got? Well, the problem is a lot of these things can be breached anyway. Correct. What Watson's saying. It's not even clear whether you can build anything. I mean, there are economic crises around the world, but good luck. I mean, we could give more aid to Latin America, but I mean, how much can we really give? I can't imagine that we're going to be able to give enough aid to Latin America that people are going to stop wanting to come to America for a better life. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? The reason people come is because they know they can come. There was a big Washington Post story on that a couple of weeks ago. They know they can come. They know they can cross illegally, easily. They know they can turn themselves into the police, and they won't have to go to court for years. And when they go to court years from now, the court won't kick them out because there's too many people. So, Anyway, Jens, I know I've got to get the auctions going. I will. Actually, we did find out Best worst games. We do auctions. I've got to put the new auctions up, but we do auctions to benefit Ukraine, and some of the money benefits my work. And we did find out the cool pieces. I'll just show you the one small one, but remember the cool pieces I've got that have the Ukraine. These are from a Ukrainian MiG fighter jet, and they're the cool ones that are blue and yellow, right? The Ukrainian pieces. Best Worst Gamers was able to search, and he found the plane it probably came from. There were 4 Ukrainian MiGs that were these special training whatever fighters that were painted really cool and stuff. And when the war came up, they used them for the war. And it was really cool. He did the research on it, and it looks like this is and one of them reportedly was shot down by friendly fire. The pieces I got, I was told it's not for sure, but it was believed these pieces were from a friendly fire incident, is what I was told about these pieces. And Best Worst found, I didn't even tell him this, found the planes that looked like the same plane and said it was a plane shot down in a friendly fire, which is really cool. Auction. So anyway, so yes, I'm going to get one of those, maybe even that little piece I'm going to put up first. It's a small piece, but it's a really cool piece. Sure. Yugen said, if I could push a button that would liquidate the Russian army from Ukraine in an instant? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's the Russian army. It's not like liquidating Russia. That would be genocidal. We don't really want that. But no problem at all. Yeah. Why not? If we could get rid of the Russian army, boom, why not? Yeah. Absolutely. Of course, there's some weapons we could give that would help, like ATACMS and F-16s, $100, that's cute. Thank you, Debsy, for the TikTok gift. I've talked about it before, Cecil. Was mentioning the Russian pilot who defected to Ukraine last summer, I believe it was, and the Russians. They basically gave him a Ukrainian passport. Thank you, Marie. He moved to Spain. Somehow the Russians found out and killed him the other day. And some folks were telling me they think he contacted his girlfriend, his Russian girlfriend, to have her move to Spain with him. And of course, the the FSB, the follow-on to the KGB, found out and killed him. So, very sad. That's the idea. Yep, Mustard said nobody will defect now. That's the whole point. They want to scare the hell out of anybody. They needed to make a lesson, or to send a lesson to anybody thinking of defecting, any Russian troops, and say, you come here and we will kill you. And my guess is, too, his family came, too. They're going to kill his family as well. Because if you're a dictator, that makes it even more strong, right, of a message that not only will we kill you, we'll kill your entire family. So get ready for that to be the next thing that happens. He may not have had a security detail. He's a 20-something Russian kid who defects, gets a new life, gets a new passport, and moves to Spain under a new name, as a Ukrainian, and opens his mouth and talks. Hard to say, but I fear that's what happened. I fear that's what happened. It's too bad though. Yeah. I mean, he should have stayed in Ukraine, and he shouldn't have, well, who knows what happened. It may not be his fault too. It may not be his fault. It could be somewhere in Ukraine is compromised and somebody got the documents of what his new name is and where he was. I mean, who knows, right? Maddie says they told him not to leave Ukraine. Did they? That's interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Michael, for following me. Please do follow me, guys, on TikTok and YouTube. I always forget to mention that. Oh, no. DJ says, have you heard of the Canadian couple with 8 kids who moved to Russia and regretted it only weeks after? Are you kidding? Get out of here. Is that really true? Thank you, Lori. That's hilarious. Could you imagine moving to Russia and going, ruh-roh? Ruh-roh. Perhaps not the best career move. And those kids, Anyway, oh boy. He did kill his crew while defecting. Yes, he did. Yep. Okay, well, thanks, Wild Hunt. I'll check it out. Yep. The Canadian family, that's wild. Thank you, Allison, for the lights. What else we got, guys? It's 7:07. We'll go a little bit longer. Military installations and immigration. Okay, I'll check it out, Danielle. Yeah, moving to Russia, is not exactly a winning game. Oh, from last week? Okay. I just didn't see it. Oh, I know I'm going to yawn at you. Sorry, guys. Oh. Oh, I can't. I mean, imagine being so dumb as to move to Russia. Dear Lord. You know? Thank you, Irene. First of all, you don't speak the language. That's not going to be fun. Second of all, Russia, not exactly a rich country. I mean, the rich people have a lot of money. Everybody else, and of course, and third, dictatorship. Get used to that. Fourth, your kids are now going to go to freaking Russian schools. Good luck with that. Congratulations, your kids are going to now be growing. Yeah, Gerard Depardieu liked it, exactly. And Tucker Carlson. And what's his face? Whose movies I really do like, but Steven Seagal, right? Yeah, exactly. Even 1 million Russians left last year, you know? Man, it's crazy. Oh, that's funny. They didn't want their kids around gay people. Well, guess what? There's gay people in Russia, too. I got news for you. Oh, well. Oh, traditional values. Oh, God. Canadian parents who wanted to raise their 8 kids with traditional values moved to Russia. Wife now says, I'm ready to jump on a plane and get out of here. Okay, I have to pull this up. Now you're making me laugh. I have to pull this up. Hold on. Let me find this. This is hilarious. All right. Hold on. Canadian couple. It sounds a bit like a tabloid story, but it's funny nonetheless. All right, hang on here. Well, that's Pink News. I wish I could find Daily Kos. Well, I mean, let me see what the source is for Daily Kos. I'm just like, Pink News isn't exactly, they're fine, but they're not exactly my favorite news source. Daily Kos is saying, the patriarch of a right-wing Canadian family of 11 had just about enough of gay people in his country. We didn't feel safe for our children in Canada, for our future anymore, he told Russian media. There's a lot of left-wing ideology, LGBTQ, trans, just a lot of things that we don't agree with that they teach there now, and we wanted to get away from that for our children. So they moved to Russia, so their kids could be raised with Orthodox values. Took donations on social media from fellow right-wingers so they could live in Russia. They did it 3 weeks ago, except now they're not so happy. According to the family, the Russian bank where they moved the proceeds from selling their farms and belongings immediately froze their assets. The amount of money seemed suspicious. I guess it would, since so many Russian... yeah, exactly. So they moved a bunch of money to Russia. The Russian banks stole the money. Big surprise. No one in the family speaks Russian, so they had a really hard time talking to the banks about this. Let me see this. Where is this? Hang on. The woman spoke her mind in a video that has now been deleted on the family's YouTube channel. Of course, because they're in Russia. She goes to Russia. The best part, she goes to Russia and she thinks she's going to go on YouTube and complain about the Russian government now that she's a political asylum person in Russia. She thinks she's going to complain about Putin. Thank you, Jeremy. She's lucky she's alive. Well, they forced her to delete the video. Big surprise. Her quote was, I'm very disappointed in this country at this point. I'm ready to jump on a plane and get out of here. We've hit the first snag where you have to engage logic in this country, and it's very, very frustrating. Oh, bye. Oh, well. Oh, well. Yeah, sucks to be FAFO. What do you do? Excuse me. That is hilarious. Yeah, I don't know whether there's a mainstream story on it. I mean, Pink News, but where did they get it from? Because Pink News is just rewriting other stories. Oh, they're all getting it off of YouTube. I see. Okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, they're all pulling it off of YouTube. Where is this? Beep-a-deep-a-deep. They didn't learn They didn't learn Russian before they went, quote, yeah, we were a little naive on that. About going to Russia and not speaking Russian. She's a former beet farmer. I needed to use the washroom, and on the doors it said male and female, but I didn't know which was which. Oh, God. Again, how stupid do you have to be too? Like, really? You've been there, even being there for a week, you didn't at least learn the words male. I mean, although granted, it's a different alphabet. So you can't, his YouTube video, are the YouTube videos of the actual Canadian people, Wild Hunt, the actual Canadian family. In America, that wouldn't be a problem. It's free for all in the bathrooms, but now in our world, it matters, her husband added. Most of our bathrooms actually are not unisex, but I actually find unisex bathrooms kind of creepy, to be totally honest, but whatever. And if I were a woman, I'm conservative that way. If I were a woman, I'd find it a little creepy having guys walk in the bathroom with me, but whatever. Even if we get different stalls, I'm sorry, it's a little creepy. YouTube episode, hang on here. They didn't bring enough cold weather clothes. They went to Moscow, to Russia in the winter and didn't bring cold weather clothes. That's smart. All 10 of them are living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Oh my God. I mean, literally, this is something out of a Russia. I mean, this is Russia. This is Russia. Like, everyone crammed together in a small apartment. Hello. Although this is the Soviet Union, though. The irony is it's still Russia today. That's total Soviet Union. No, I don't want to do Discord tonight, Callum. I don't like doing Discord when we go this late. If we finish at 7, like if we finish on the hour, I'm game. But like I'm starting to get tired when we go this late. And then on Discord will be another 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So maybe we'll try for tomorrow. Let me see this. Visa and MasterCard don't work there. Duh, because of the sanctions. Authorities closed the Russian account they moved their money into because a suspiciously high sum with no explanation of money was moved in. Oh, God. Hang on. Let me see here. Oh, God. It seems that her criticism caught the eye of the Russians. She issued a clarification of her criticism after there was an article that caught the Russians. She goes, after reading an article that said we were disappointed with Russia, we decided to remove our video. We are not disappointed with Russia. In fact, the opposite is true. What Anissa actually said was, I am very frustrated the husband goes, she said, I'm very frustrated in this country right now. This was a reflection of her inner frustration with not being able to speak and understand. She wasn't frustrated with Russia. She was frustrated in Russia. Oh my God, they're arguing like prepositions. Isn't that a preposition? Oh my God. Oh, this is hilarious. Oh well. FAFO. That is funny. Oh my God. Well, what do you do, you know? I mean, man. I mean, that was in Pink News. It's apparently they did a video, so people are writing based on the video. They got yeah, thoughts and prayers, exactly. Oh well. Too funny. Oh, they were totally afraid. They got their end. Now they got their welcome to the real Russia. They spoke out, they criticized the country, and they probably threatened to take their children and put them up for adoption. Or give them some polonium tea. It's like, oh well, yeah. Lovely country there. I wonder how Tara Reid's doing. She's another one who defected. Oh, yes. Not an easy place to defect to, Moscow. His YouTube videos? Okay, I'll have to check it out. I'll check it out. Is there a link? Or send me a link to the YouTube video so I can see them. Although I think the story's link, right? So I'll check it out. Anyway, exactly. No soup for you. Russia, where everybody's a soup Nazi. Exactly. Anyway, what else we got, guys? The wrong. I mean, you could have chosen literally any Orthodox country that would have been better than Russia. Well, other than Belarus. Belarus would be bad too. But otherwise, like anything would have been better than. I mean, anything is better than Russia and Belarus. Every other country is more free, right? There's no. I mean, where else? There's nowhere that's as bad as that, you know? I don't know what Acorn Cop is. No idea. Ukraine did hit a training camp of Russians. Yep. Occupied Ukraine territory that's occupied by the Russians. And the Russians stupidly enough, and this is like the third time they've done this, they gathered their troops all together for a general who was visiting. The general wasn't there yet, and they gathered the troops in a big bunch. And I'll show you guys. I grabbed a picture. I can't show the video because the video is obviously kind of vicious. TikTok and YouTube would not be happy with that. But the picture shows you all the troops gathered together. All those little dots are the Russian soldiers lined up together waiting for the general to arrive. The Ukrainians saw it, so they bombed. And with the HIMARS, you can see there with the HIMARS, they bombed it. All those little dots, 60 people dead. 60 Russian troops dead. And this is like the third time they've done it. They don't think. They really don't think. It's like, oh, well. I mean, good for the Ukrainians, 65, is that the latest number? This was yesterday, supposedly. It happened yesterday. Yeah. I mean, there's video. There's a lot of video. Yesterday was when it happened. A lot of video about it. Oh, my God. I mean, BBC did a story on it because they got like a dozen different videos and said that they couldn't publish them ethically because I've seen the videos. It's dead bodies close up. I mean, it's horrific. This is war, but I mean, this was a slaughter of these guys, all because yet again, a Russian general screwed up, and yet again, Russian command goes, general's coming, you all get to stand outside like little lemmings, Thank you, Em. Right? You all get to stand outside in the sun, and who cares if the Ukrainian video spots you? It was 2 HIMARS strikes. So I don't know how many missiles, but 2 different, I believe it said 2 HIMARS, making me think it was 2 different systems, but maybe it was 2 rockets too, from 1 HIMARS. But pretty bad. Yeah. Well, then again, Azim, if you've got all of the people standing together in a row, it's not hard to take them out. You know what I mean? Like it's just stupidity at that point, 2 rockets? Okay, 2 rockets, yeah. I just read 2 HIMARS, but it wasn't clear what they meant. They were total sitting ducks. It's offensive what they did to these guys, They didn't get the general, no. Thank you, Critter. From what we know, the general hadn't arrived yet. Now, the Ukrainians might not have known the general was coming, right? Because they literally saw a bunch of soldiers lined up and they said, holy cow. like get them now. You don't say, let's wait and see who else shows up. You go get them now, because you don't want to miss the opportunity. What's amazing to me is, and I mean, I'm sure this has been for a while now, but the accuracy of these systems, that they can go that far and hit things, it's something if it's a guided rocket, but it's like artillery. That artillery shells can go 25 miles or whatever always blows my mind. Or the big guns on a naval ship, how far, and this has been 50 years at those things, or 40 years plus, I guess. The accuracy of those things always blew my mind. It's amazing. Scary, obviously, but I'll do a quick summary when we're done. We'll go a couple more minutes and then I'll do a recap of the news. 100,000. We did make it. Thanks, Cheryl. You did it. Woo woo. 100,000 likes or roses on TikTok. Thank you, guys. What else, guys? Anything else? Otherwise, I'll do the news summary and we will be done for the night. Are the Russian soldiers forced to fight? It depends what you mean, right? They have a draft, so to speak. When you're of age, you've got to sign up. I'll tell the dog hi, I shall. When you're of age, you've got to sign up. Something, I'm trying to remember if it's like 200,000 a year that get drafted or whatever. I'm forgetting how many. There's like 2 different drafts throughout the year. So not everybody has to. A small number. They're paid poorly, but they're paid. And they have contract workers as well, so people can volunteer. But they also went to prisoners, and they've got a lot of prisoners that they told them, we'll let you out of prison if you work with us for 6 months. Now they're saying until the war is over. They changed that on them. But initially it was, if you work with us for 6 months, we will pardon you, and you will no longer. But then they started screwing around, and some of the guys worked for 6 months and got released, but they didn't actually pardon them. So the guys couldn't get jobs because they had a criminal record. So Russia being Russia, everything is a con, right? So they screwed these guys anyway. There were certainly stories in the war of people being shot The big battle, I want to say if it was Bakhmut, I think, wasn't it Bakhmut, guys? Where they were saying, because they were using it had to be Bakhmut, because they were using these guys literally just like in rows and rows of them going to be killed. They gave them like 2 days training. I mean, nothing. These guys aren't military people. It's like 2 days training, and not just the prisoners, but like regular Muscovites or whatever. Not Muscovite. They avoid the Muscovites, but other Russians. Threw them at the Ukrainians and told them, if you turn around, we will kill you. And they told these guys that we will kill you if you turn around. You will go march with the Ukrainians. It's like World War I believe, from what I'd heard. You will go march with the Ukrainians and you will die, because if you turn around, we'll kill you anyway. So there was that too aspect of them forcing it, but it's bad. This is Russia again. We're not dealing with a nice. Oh, was World War II as well? Thank you, Tigger. I think of watching All Quiet on the Western Front, which I watched the newer version of the movie I watched in the last year. Very good. I mean, very like, oh my God, what a movie. Oof. That was a hell of a movie. Countryside Acres. Okay. I'm gonna hold on. I'll pull it up so I don't forget here. 1 second. Countryside. That's the name of the crazy Canadian family that moved to Russia. Too bad the thing is down now. Where is this? Hang on. Pull it up so I don't lose it here. Where is this? Come on. Oh, that's their. Where is this crazy thing? Is that them? Hold on. I'm trying to see. 1 second. I'm just looking to see where these crazy Canadians are. There they are. Okay. I will check them out later. That's good. Okay. All right. Yeah, All Quiet on the Western Front. Wild movie. Yeah. All Quiet on the Western Front. It's an old movie, but there was a new version done in the last couple years. Very good. It's about war. It's about young people going to war and being very excited wrongly and dying. 2022. I thought it was recent. Yeah. It's very good, but it's very, again, young boys, we're going to go and beat the enemy, and they all get killed. Not all of them. So I haven't spoiled it for you. Not all of them, but that's pretty much the summation of the movie. It's dark, and it's like those war movies where you really see what war is like. Based on a book. It's not Hemingway, is it? Who wrote the book? Who wrote the book? Is it Hemingway? Who is it? Just curious. Some people we can Google. Anybody wants to see All Quiet on the Western Front. But it's a wonderful movie, but it's just very, oh boy. German guy wrote it. Interesting. All Quiet on the Western Front. Who wrote the book? I can Google, but I figured one of you would do it quicker than me. I'll wait a minute, since I know you guys are always about 10 seconds behind me on this. Remarque? Is that the name? Oh, so was it written by a Frenchman? Or at least the name is French. Okay. Excellent movie. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's a very real look. Eric Maria Remarque. Okay. Steinbeck? Okay, we're getting mixtures here. But yeah, it's very good. In the movie, I thought they were, I'm trying to remember now, were they French or German? I'm totally forgetting who they were in the movie. I don't even remember now. What they were. Were they French? I'm sorry. They were. I thought they were German. Yeah, I thought they were German. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought that was it. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, it's very good. I highly recommend you check it out. But just be prepared for something incredibly heavy. Oh, okay, there it is. Novel by Eric. Oh, that's like a German name, though. Erich. E-R-I-C-H. Makes me think German. Maria Remarque. That sounds German. Yeah. A German veteran of World War I. He is German. Yep, that's what I thought. Because it's Eric, E-R-I-C-H. Interesting. Interesting with the last name Remarque. Because it totally is a French kind of spelling, you know? Yeah, he's German. So it was the Germans. Yep, that's what I thought. The original movie is... We should go try to find the original. The original movie... When is it? 1940s? When is the original movie? Does anybody remember? Cute, magical. Thank you, Anna. When did the original movie come out? Anybody? The 30s. Was it that? Was that old, wasn't it? No, it wouldn't be 20s. That would be silent. But I thought it might have been 30s even. A movie watch party, I know. Is it the 30s? Wow. Is it any good? I mean, I wonder if it's the kind of... Only because I think of movies from the... Other than The Wizard of Oz, I think of movies from the 1930s being kind of like, you know? John Boy was in it. Interesting. Okay. The first talking movie. The book is good. Okay. The original is closer to the book. Interesting. Okay. I'll have to look for the original if I can see it. Yeah. Do you see what I mean, Azim? It's quite the video showing the strike, at least the video I watched, was less gruesome because you actually see the dots of them lined up. But there's other video of the dead bodies close up that's just like, oh my God. I mean, because there's so many of them. This is the Ukrainian strike against the Russian troops in occupied Ukraine when the idiot general had them all line up and wait for him. So the Ukrainians just blew them up. It was just like, whew, crazy. Television movie as well. Okay, so there's a lot of this. Soylent Green. All right, guys, I'll do the quick summary and then we'll be done. Civil War movie. I don't know what that is. Is there a Civil War movie out? Not familiar, Kate. Well, I mean, I don't want to see dead bodies much. What do you mean? Callum says it's funny how civilians are freaked out by the bodies of war. Well, I mean, I don't like to see videos of dead bodies anywhere. Like, I don't really want to see that. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, with war stuff, I've seen enough of them, but I'd still rather not if I can help it. It's just kind of not something I want to see. So, yeah. You know, just not something in general. Avengers Civil War I didn't like. No, what was was it Avengers? No, I didn't like that Civil War, the one that was like, was it Avengers Civil War? I didn't like that one at all. Or was that it wasn't Avengers, wasn't that Marvel? Maybe it was Avengers, but yeah, I tried watching that one and I couldn't even watch the whole thing. Also, it creeped me out a little. Captain America, it creeped me out. It was just too negative, you know? Anyway, all right. Let's do a quick summary of the stories and then we'll go, guys. So thank you. Today is day 725 of Putin's special 3-day military operation. We are 3 days away from the 2-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. A Russian military blogger who has since killed himself or killed by the Russians, thank you, Timothy, admitted that 16,000 to 32,000 Russian troops died taking the Ukrainian town of Avdiivka, which is interesting because it's not that significant of a town. It's only 32,000 people, and losing 16,000 to 32,000 people to take a town of 32,000 people is really dumb. Ukrainian troops launched 2 HIMARS missiles against a Russian military training ground in occupied Ukraine, killing as many as 65 Russian troops. There's video. It's gruesome. Basically, the Russians, for the third time that I can think of, very stupidly had their troops assemble in public in the open air in daylight and wait for a general to arrive. So he made them all gather together and wait. The Ukrainian drone saw them and bombed them and killed them all. Incredibly stupid. The New York Times is just reporting that American intelligence officials have told European allies that they believe the Russians are going to launch a nuclear weapon into space this year as an anti-satellite weapon. Iran has provided Russia with a large number of powerful surface-to-surface ballistic missiles. Multiple sources tell Ukraine, obviously, tell Reuters, obviously, to use in Ukraine. The U.S. citizen arrested in Russia on treason charges for allegedly raising money for Ukraine's army has reportedly been identified as a 33-year-old Ksenia Kavana. At least 6 Russians were arrested. At least 6 of the Russians arrested during the vigils they held for Alexei Navalny. Putin murdered the top opposition leader last Friday, and people would bring flowers and things to lay on the sidewalks. At least 6 of the people arrested have been drafted to send to Ukraine as punishment because Russia's a dictatorship. Trump again compared himself to Alexei Navalny, claiming that America is a communist or fascist country for oppressing him politically, Navalny style. Trump actually has been indicted 4 times and facing 91 criminal charges because he's a criminal and no one's tried to poison him because of his politics. Russia is a dictatorship again. Copies of a Russian weekly newspaper featuring a prominent picture of Alexei Navalny, who Putin just killed, were removed from the newsstands across Moscow, all the way across Moscow, because, thank you, Tiger Pup, Putin couldn't stand the notion of a free magazine literally having a picture of his now murdered political opponent on the cover. Because, why, folks? Russia is a dictatorship. All right. I'm going to say sayonara tonight. It is now an hour and a half into this, guys. So thank you so much. And that's about it. So let's see what's happening. I will see you tomorrow. The show is every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S. Thank you, River Dan, for the roses, and Luis. The show is every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 6 o'clock New York City or Washington, D.C. time. I'm in Washington. And well, there you go. We'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? And keep checking TikTok. I do videos all day on TikTok anyway, so you can get lots of little updates there. I finally did, well, I tried to do my first TikTok video for subscribers only. Thank you, Super Hornet, because I'm now on TikTok able to do videos just for my paid subscribers, which is a nice thank you to you guys. I did the whole video. I spent 5 minutes giving you an update on Ukraine, and of course, the video disappeared. I have no idea where it went. I feel like my mother or something. But thank you, Jetta. Thank you, Tim. But it's gone. Matt, I mentioned earlier the Russian pilot who defected to Ukraine. The Russians killed him in Spain. They assassinated him because they wanted to send a message to all the other Russians that they shouldn't try to ever, don't try anything similar. I did check my drafts. I will do it again just for fun. But I'm going to guess it's not there. Oh, no, it's gone. It's gone. God only knows. Thank you, Tiger Pug, for the flowers. Yeah, it's totally gone. What do you do? What do you do? It's fine. I just literally finished the video, tried to turn off the video, and it just was like disappeared. Thanks again for that, Tiger Pug. That is a nice gift. So what do you do? But at least my hair is good tonight, except it's doing more little bits of gray sticking up. Gray is evil. It just goes up. Am I going out? Oh, God, no. No, I'm going to probably have a little more of my homemade focaccia pizza, watch a little TV, play some computer games, all the crazy stuff. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it. I could have posted it in my story, but usually it shows those kind of things. No, it's just gone. There is no story listed. It's just gone. No, sadly. Oh, well. What do you do? What do you do? But yes, Sasha's good. She's just she's asleep in her little cat bed under the desk here. She probably in a couple of minutes, she's going to bug me because she's going to want to. Yeah, but private videos would still show me the video. It's nowhere to be seen here. She usually bothers me about now. Yeah, to enable saved correct. Exactly. She usually bothers me about now to brush her teeth because then she gets a little treat. So she's just I can tell she's licking her paw in the doggy bed. So we will see. Purple shampoo. Oh, I do own such stuff because yes, as you get older, you have to wash your hair with purple shampoo occasionally because otherwise your hair will turn yellow, which is really gross. So yes, I have the purple shampoo to get rid of the yellow. I am not a news anchor. I have done a lot of media in the past. Yes. So there you go. And Scott, I couldn't care less. Oh, shall we, mods? Just for the fun of it. I know we've only got like 30 seconds to go, but just do a mute. Doesn't have to be a ban, but a permanent mute. But a permanent mute is always fun too. And the mutes, we've got mutes. The mutes never go out of style. So feel free to do that. Thank you, Marie. All right, guys, have a good night. I will see you all tomorrow. Don't be terrified, Shani. Nothing to be terrified. Worried, maybe. Terrified, no. There's nothing to be terrified about. So, all right, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.